Hello and welcome back to Inquiry XX121. Per usual, I will be your host, Bryce. Today I want to talk about A6454, also known as G-435, Achilles 2.3, or Xenomorph Prime. Xenomorph Prime first appeared in the comic series Alien Outbreak. Given that this comic has never gotten a novelization, I consider it to be non-canon. If you want more of an explanation why, please see my Defining the Alien Canon video. However, it does make appearances in canon novels such as Female War and Genocide. During its introduction, Xenomorph Prime was thought to be the homeworld of the Xenomorph XX121 species. This was later shown not to be the case. As such, the origin of the Xenomorph XX121 species are still unknown. Nonetheless, Xenomorph Prime offers insight into how the Xenomorph XX121 hives progress when largely left unchecked. Before delving deeper into this, however, I should note that the Xenomorph XX121 species is the dominant species on Xenomorph Prime, thus the name. There is, however, at least one species that preys on them, can hunt and eat them, seem to be immune to their acid, and so on. Even despite this, however, the Xenomorph XX121 species has formed a planetary hive on Xenomorph Prime. A native primate species is used like cattle to breed new members of the hive. So, after gaining full control of the planet, the members of the Xenomorph XX121 species don't seem to wipe out all other life. I think this is particularly interesting, given it suggests a higher level of intelligence than some might first assume. More interestingly, however, is the hierarchy that forms when a hive gets to these large scales. As I'm sure most of you know, a queen rules over her hive. Anyone who's seen Aliens should know this. But when a hive grows to a large enough scale, a queen will spawn new queens to rule under her. However, if the hive is small enough, the new queen will battle for supremacy over the previous hive. This is much like bees creating a new queen, where the old one is expelled. However, if the scale of the hive is large enough, this one queen can rule over many. By this time, the queen has grown larger and will become an empress. If you continue this process on, you will get a queen mother, an unimaginably large xenomorph queen that rules over a planetary scale hive, ruling over many queens. We see the death of one such being in Female War and a replacement challenger in Genocide. I'll make a video over these at some point, I'm sure. I'm sure at some point some of you may have seen red xenomorphs. Those come from Genocide, and a queen with a mutation that rose to the rank of Queen Mother, challenging the other planetary hive on Xenomorph Prime. A very interesting concept and a very interesting read. Humans were very much interested in Xenomorph Prime for its natural resources that could be derived only from xenomorph hives, particularly the Queen Mother and her royal jelly. Much like bees, as I mentioned before, the royal jelly is responsible for evolving the queens into queen mothers. It also turns warriors into Praetorian, the guardians of the queens. And it can, if ingested by humans, has a psychedelic effect. Some experience euphoria for what appears hours on end when really it's seconds, and so on and so forth, what you would expect out of a drug in a sci-fi novel. It can also be refined into what is referred to as Xenozip, which is essentially a super steroid that gives humans the speed and strength of xenomorphs, at least a fraction of it, but also some of their aggression, so there is that side effect. And prolonged use of things like royal jelly can start mutating you into a more xenomorph-like being. We see this a little bit with accelerant and things like Prometheus, but royal jelly can also do it. And as such, xenomorphs typically leave you alone if they're from the same hive, which is kind of an interesting side effect. And this concept is explored in the comics and novels, but which I found rather interesting that it is used to elevate xenomorph warriors to Praetorians and humans to xenomorph-like beings. So this is just a little bit of the lore of Xenomorph Prime. The big takeaway I want here is the planetary hive stuff. It's very neat how they organize themselves. Higher intelligence by farming these primates to add new members to the hive, have a source of food, that kind of thing. But also that it is not the homeworld of the xenomorphs. So let me know what you think below. This has been a brief intro to Xenomorph Prime.